Today I'm going to be rebuilding the front coilovers on the GS300. So I went to a drift day a couple weeks ago. Just wanted to test out doing like figure eights, and donuts and stuff, nothing too crazy. Wanted to feel the car out, see if there's any weird steering issues, anything like that. As far as that went, car felt great. The one thing I did notice under letting off throttle was how much dive the car was doing, and then under transition the car would literally just throw itself over. Looking at tires too, I was really rolling over on them. Basically the front suspension is just way too soft. I kind of had an idea that that was going to be the case. BC, when they spec things out for the drift spec, they did some motion ratios, but I think it was a little off because of the extended lower arm, effectively extended lower arm because of the easy knuckles, which actually makes the front spring rates even softer. Actually hit up Andy Gray from Power Vehicles. If you don't know, he is a pro drifter in Japan, owns Power Vehicles. He told me to actually go with a 26K front spring, and obviously match the valving to that, and then keep the 6Ks that I have in the rear. I previously with these BCs had 12Ks in the front, which again is just way too soft. So after talking to him, just reconfirms things. Obviously the guy knows four-door suspension setup, four-door Toyota suspension setup. If you watch his car in the drift, it's impressive. The car squats, has a ton of grip, is super fast, and it can compete with smaller two-door cars with really good snappy transitions and everything. So BC sent me over, talking with them. Because they actually don't make their own springs in a 26K, they stop at 22K for the size they need. These are a Swift, which are, I don't know if you know about Swift springs, best springs basically out there. They typically don't degrade or sag over time. They're just a little bit higher quality metal and everything like that. But these are they're Swift 260s, which is a 26K. I believe it's a 170 something millimeter spring. We actually had to go a little shorter just because it is a stiffer spring. And then I have new cartridges or dampers that were valved. It was just easier for them to do it that way, valve to these springs. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to take the coilovers off the front of the car, take off the lower mount, perch mount, and all the collars and everything, take the top hat off, spring, reassemble it all onto these, and then put it back in the car. I'm going to try and adjust the ride height. Might go a little bit higher in the front, just a hair, and then most likely I have to get the car relined, obviously. I'll probably do my toe plates, get that, and check the camber and everything just to get it close, and then take it over and to my friend and get it done. But anyway, I'm going to get started and kind of go through a little bit with you guys how to do this. Pretty easy, so. Just like that, it's out. Good thing about GS, it's actually pretty easy to get these out. Gonna clean them up a little bit, take them apart, and keep on moving. Alright, we're gonna go over how easy this is to really do. You can do this obviously in your driveway, in your garage. First things you're gonna want to do, take your coilover wrenches, which these gloves are making very hard to pick up. Anyway, you're going to take these, you're going to break loose, which I already did, your locking collars. Sorry, my sinuses are going nuts right now. You're going to lower that down, raise this up a little bit, and then you're going to slowly pull off. You can hear all that dirt. I'm actually going to clean these up pretty good, just so you don't want any bind or anything in your coilover. Sorry, you hear that. That's a cat playing right now. But I'm going to take the lower perch, lower mount off of the damper here. It's going to take a while because this is really on there. But again, this is your ride height adjustment. This is your spring adjustment. So this is only adjusting spring preload in here. So with this collar is preload. You don't want to do that when you're trying to adjust ride height. Say you loosen it, you're going to have spring play, and you're actually going to get a bunch of rattling, and it can unseat itself under no load. So this is what you're going to adjust for height. So basically what I would be doing right now is making the car way high. But I'm just going to take this off really easy. Take the collar off. Also really easy. Just kind of keep a log of everything. What goes where. That'll make things easier on you in the end. Like I said, I'm going to clean them up. Clean up the inside of this before I put it on the new damper or cartridge, which is what this part is, which is the actual shock itself. Same thing. Here, pull this off. And the other thing, so before you take this top hat off, something you need to make sure you do is actually loosen the spring perch. That way it's not under any tension when you go to take it off, because if there is preload set, that means that the spring is you know, under tension. So you Anyway, once you get this off, you're gonna take this lower perch, spring perch off. Just kind of keep track of everything, what goes where, how it goes on. That way you can lay it out like this. And the other thing is, I'm only going to do one at a time. That way I can kind of look back and see what I need to do and how I need to put it back. Just remember when you're putting these collars and stuff back on these threaded parts, that it's aluminum on steel or steel on aluminum or aluminum on aluminum. Just don't cross thread. It will make your life a nightmare. So take your time, don't rush it, and everything will go alright. Hopefully the lighting's okay in here. Again, so once you get this off, you're gonna kind of keep track of how it goes. I know that one goes like that. It's gonna go like that. It's not the biggest deal in the world. But next thing you do is you're gonna release the top nut on the shock. You're probably gonna have to kind of hold this down. It is gonna try and spin on you. But you're just gonna knock this nut off to 17 on this one. There you go. That's loose. So track your nut. Top hat comes off, so just keep track of your washers. You have your bushing and everything assembled here. So that goes like that. Spring comes off. I'm going to clean that up. And you have this washer that sits on. And get it off. It's actually on there pretty good. Sits on this little lock ring, I guess, or C-clip ring. So that's going to come off. Go back on. Take your sleeve off. It's just a dust shield. This is your bump stop, which I'm going to have to take the C-clip off to get to. So you take your bump stop off and nothing else comes off. That is it. So just to make sure you don't mess with anything. So, and then you're going to take this other spring perch off. And you're good to go. Clean everything, make it all nice, put it back together. So, come back in a second, put it all back together. So there you go, everything's off. Basically going to replace this one with the new ones and go from there. So now I got everything cleaned up. I'm just going to basically reverse order, put everything back together. Just real quick, I don't know if you can see from here, you can see the height difference, size difference in the actual coil. That's the stiffer spring, softer, 26K, that's double the rate. It is a shorter spring because it's not going to sag as much. And then I'm going with a little bit shorter stroke in the front. I don't need as much length as I had before anyway. But that doesn't really affect anything. But yeah, that's just the difference in that. So let's put this back together. So got the bump stop on. You have to carefully take this C-clip off without bending it. That C-clip is holding this washer. So you're getting the bump stop on. Next thing you do would be the lower locking collar for the spring perch. So flat side goes down again. Just kind of keep track. That's why I have this one here. Still completely put together. Again, be gentle putting this back on so that you're not cross-threading anything. Make sure it's nice and free spinning. I cleaned it all up, there's no more dirt. So then I'm going to throw that one on. Just kind of loosely get it on there. It's going to go where the spring is loose, which I know it will be at that point. Next one will be the actual spring perch collar. That's what the spring sits on. Again, get that one on. Slowly get them both down to where you know the spring's not gonna sit too high, or that you can get it on. So get that on there like that. Next thing, double check. Yep, I want to put this guy on. So this is just your Your boot keeps all the dirt out. This is the washer that's holding the Perch itself. That's what sits on that C-clip. Then you are going to take your spring. For aesthetic reasons, I would like for it to be where the switch is facing up, the way it should. I'll lower this a little bit more just to make sure, and then I'll go back and set preload once I get it all together. So I got that together. Springs on. Next thing is your top hat. The top hat goes on. Washer goes on top of that. And then this is a nylock washer. So it's basically like a self-locking washer. And get that on there. Put it on the ground so that it doesn't spin. Tighten it up a little bit. Don't over crank it, but just get it on there. I might have to lower the spring a little bit more. So basically what I'm going to do, I'm looking at that one, it's got that much thread. Again, that's why I don't take that one apart. I'm going to kind of match how many threads are out of it. So got a little bit more, a little bit more. That should be good. So I'm just basically matching what was previously there. Again, I'm going to try and lower this locking washer. Adjust the spring height. So I basically actually just did what I didn't want to do. I made it where the spring has got a lot of tension on it. So what I'm going to try and do, lower that a little bit more. Again, kind of go, don't do like I just did, go way further than you need. That way you're not putting this spring under tension when you're trying to get this on. Make things easier for you, and again, you're going to go back and adjust a little bit of preload to it. Not very much, but just enough to get it on there. So I'm going to get this going again. Right now the spring is loose. So that should be good. Alright, so got that on there. Now I'm going to adjust this perch back where it's basically flat at this point. And I'm going to add a little bit of preload, just a little bit. Basically what you're doing is making where the spring is under tension, so it's not loose and flopping around in there. After you've driven around, you want to jack the car back up because the springs do sag a little bit. They'll break in basically. So you're going to want to make sure that you're getting it so it doesn't have any play in it and you're not getting rattle and it can unseat itself again. So I'll reset that once I get it in the car and get a little bit of preload on it. But right now I basically just have it where it's tight on the spring perch and the spring doesn't have any play in it right now. Next part, fairly easy. You already have that collar on. You're going to take this one, whatever I just did with my other collar, it's right here. So that one goes on first. Basically just threading that one on. And I have an idea of the height I want. That's something you're going to have to mess with, obviously, if you're redoing this, but I measured the other ones. I kind of have an idea of where I want to start with. I know these springs aren't going to sag very much. Again, the spring rate's pretty high, and they're Swifts. They'll do a little, but not much. So I'm going to try and get to where I want to be. Again, I cleaned all these threads up, so it should thread on nice and easy. These ones always make noise, just because they're aluminum on the BCs. So aluminum with aluminum makes noise. And I'm going to take a measurement of my shock length once I get this on there. Kind of get an idea where I want to be. So I'm basically going from, I usually measure from the bottom of this top hat. And then I go down. And okay, so I know I need to go in a lot more. But anyway, there's your putting your coilover back together. Pretty easy. Nothing crazy. Nothing hard.
So as you saw, I put the BCracing new dampers, new valve dampers, and 26K Swift springs for the front on the Lexus. And again, the reason why there was kind of, I think, a miscommunication on some of the front suspension stuff, but they set me up with a 12K in the front, which is way too soft for this car, especially for drifting and what I want to do. Like I said, I talked to Andy from Power Vehicles out in Japan, who has the JZX100 in Formula Drift Japan, and he recommended I go with the 26K and in the front, and then keep the 6K in the rear. Go from there. Might go up in the rear. We'll see. Haven't had a real test day as far as drifting goes to feel it out, but I will say, obviously, like street driving and kicking it sideways a couple times, the 26Ks feel right. They're not harsh at all, actually. Obviously, the valving is done for the 26K, so that helps. But they ride actually pretty comfortably, and the car drives much more like I want it to. Definitely more direct steering, a little bit snappier. Once I do like full angle drifts and stuff, I'll know for sure. And as far as transitions go, but the car feels right now. And so hopefully I can get a test day in, kind of feel it out here soon, depending on what's going on. I have something that I can't really talk about yet coming up in the next couple weeks. That is taking up some time. I'll be gone for a few weeks, but I might be able to get a day in before I go. If not, then after that, hopefully I can get some good footage and feel the car out. Still need to get e-brake setup done. I don't need that to drift. I can get some drifting done without it, but obviously it helps in certain situations and different things with drifting. So I still want to get like a dual caliper setup, keep the hand or the drum brake, e-brake setup that's foot pedal related on the car, just for, you know, keep the car the way it is, daily driver, and then do a dual caliper for the hydro brake, e-brake for drifting and stuff. And that'll kind of be it for a while in the car once that's done. I don't know if you can tell, I'm sitting a lot lower in the car. I have this Corbeau seat. It actually is designed for Corvettes, so it is a fixed back, but it allows so I can use stock seat belt, and I'm using their slider. Actually, I really like the seat a lot. It's, you know, like a black vinyl leather or whatever to match the rest of the car, which I didn't know if I would like, because I didn't want to be able to slide around, but it's actually, the vinyl portions of this are actually kind of sticky, I guess is the way to say it. So it actually holds you, it keeps you more so, I think, than some of the cloths. But it's actually really comfortable. It allows you to use stock seat belt, which is what I wanted for this car, and it's pretty comfortable and dailyable, and it holds you in, which is what I needed, instead of sliding around on a couch like I was when I first tested in the stock seat. So yeah, I got that in the car. I'm gonna be trying out the Kinda KR20As in 235 square, so I'm gonna run it all around, just so, like you see now, I'm driving the car around, just so that if I need to, I can rotate, and I want to see how it feels. I had the 225 40 in the front and 235 40 in the rear of the Cosmos. Tried those out. Not bad. Actually wore a little bit faster than what I had been hearing. So we'll see on that. This is a heavy car. I didn't play with the air pressure or anything, because I was literally just doing figure eights and donuts just to feel the car out, and I felt very quickly that the front end was way too soft and just didn't go much further than that, just because I knew the car wouldn't wouldn't be fun to drift any further than that. So I can't really give a complete review on those. I still have the rears are on the car, the 235/40 Cosmos, the Mucho Machos. They're on the rear of the car still, which they have some life left, so I could probably get like half a day on them, a track day. And I have KR28s for the rear, and I already have the KR28s on the front just because I was getting some excessive camber wear. I got another alignment done once I did the 26K springs in the front. So hopefully the car will wear a little bit better. It's got an angle kit and almost 5 degrees of angle, which is the least I can get. So obviously it's going to wear a little bit more. I'm just trying to get a little bit better. But running a little bit bigger tire, and the KR28 I'm noticing is also wider than the Cosmo as far as 235 versus 235. But I planned ahead anyway to run the square. I got the Ulterior Motive metal fender flares. I got their hidden bolt-on style. It's going to be a little tricky getting them on the car, but I think once it's on, it'll look cool. I already prepped and painted them to match the stock color. So I'm going to try and get them installed here hopefully this weekend, and you'll be able to maybe hopefully in this video I can get all that in there too, and you'll see it. But that'll give me the clearance in the front, so I won't have any fender rubbing issues. One of the fenders when I bought the car was a little messed up from something, I don't know what, but when I bought this car I knew what it was for anyway, so I didn't really mind. But it'll help that aesthetically also, and I kind of like the way those fenders look. They're really clean. I might do the rears in the long run, we'll see. As of right now, with the way I have the suspension set up and the tires inside the wheel well and pretty, not exactly flush, but pretty in there, so I don't have any issues. But if I ever go wider, I will, or even a wider tire setup as I get more power, then I'll probably need to do those fender flares. I still kind of want to do the 09 wide body eventually. They're over fenders, but just don't want to spend that kind of money right now. And I want to do a bunch of body work all at once. I don't want to like paint the fenders and then do this and that. And I'd like to do it all at once and get the whole car resprayed in whatever color I choose or whatever I want to do. But I have been eyeing the BN Sports kit for this car also, which would be super awesome and nice. I definitely like that kit on this car. But that's kind of last for me as far as this car goes. It'll happen eventually, but I'm not in a rush for that. I'm enjoying driving the crap out of the car. Honestly, it's like it's stock twins, everything. It's a fun car with the CDO9 6-speed conversion. Car drives nice. I've got the AC on right now, driving around, and honestly, I'm beyond happy with what this car turned out. As far as my vision went, it's hit it and probably more. It's a simple build, very OEM plus stockish as far as power and drivetrain goes, so it can stay reliable, not be too crazy. Obviously, you always want more power. I don't know if I'm going to do a single turbo in the future, or, which everyone hates the idea, and I know why, but there's something inside me that kind of wants to do the Drift Motion upgraded stock twins, so it basically turns them into 28Rs, and with proper fuel and tuning and stuff, get well into the 500 horsepower range, which for the goals of this car, that is plenty. And to have stock twins is, I don't know, it's just kind of a cool idea to me, and it keeps with the full interior, very stock-ish car idea, and it kind of just, for me, I like it. I actually picked up another set of stock twins in case I got them for really cheap, so in case I really want to go that route. If not, I'll eventually go single which I could still do both. I could try the twins if I hate them, sell them, and do a single setup. Singles obviously lot of pluses for a single turbo, which is why a lot of people are like, no. You know, it's obviously it's much simpler setup, less heat, less weight. It's easier to work on. Most of the newer turbos are way more efficient. The stock twins are smaller, so they'll still be efficient. It's not like they won't be, but with a single you can go further. But like I said, with kind of the idea of this car, with the end goal that I foresee right now, I have no plans, at least as of any time in the near future, of fully caging or gutting this car. If I'm gonna do something like a gutted car, and full cage and everything like that, it would probably be something that would be more competitive, because that's really the only reason I would go that route, is to try and be competitive. So I don't know, we'll see in the future. I'm rambling, but yeah, as of now, the suspension I think I've got fairly well set up. I just need the e-brake, and hopefully get some seat time and have fun with this thing and get some footage for you guys. I got that awesome swivel mount camera set up for the GoPro. It goes on the top of the roof. It catches the wind, so it literally, whatever direction you're going, it's facing. So when you're at angle, it's still facing the direction you're going. If you see like Adam LZ videos and other footage, a lot of people are using it, so you get really cool drift footage. So I got that already, and I'm gonna use that for some good stuff. But anyway, hope you guys are still liking the build. There is more to come, obviously. A little bit more slow going than I would want, but that's how it goes with cars. As always, I get a lot of questions on things in the comments or and on my social media. Always ask. I'm always down to try and help people get their cars to the same level. I know a lot of people haven't done like a GS like this. I mean, there's a few of them, obviously. Gerard is 09, and I know quite a few others that are doing manual swaps and stuff, but there's not a lot of info out there on the internet. If you have questions, ask me if I can, if I have time, and I see it, I will give you an answer back and try and help. But anyway, talk to you guys.
The shaky video. I just didn't want to go grab my gimbal. But I'm putting the Ulterior Motive fenders on. I already installed them. So what I did, sorry, my finger's in the way. I drilled out the holes to the size of the stud itself. If it'll focus. And the problem is, if you look at the base of the stud, there's the head of the stud where they welded it is actually too far out. So when you tighten the stud all the way to the fender, to give you an example, you can see there's a gap. And what it is, if I can get the camera to see it, you'll see there the stud is actually sitting flush, but it's pushing the fender out. So what I ended up doing is going and getting some from Ace Hardware, getting some fender washers. I actually got some rubber ones just to kind of help keep it from creasing the fender once you tighten it. And I opened the holes up bigger than the head of that stud. So what that was able to do is I can actually get it on real quick, and it'll be, by doing that, it makes it to where those holes are bigger. The stud will go all the way through. The fender washer will clamp the fender itself and get it flush. What I'm also going to do is get some 3M tape. It's actually meant for fender flares and stuff. And just put the tape on the inside of the fender flare itself, and then tape it to the car, so it'll actually be nice and tight and no issues. Otherwise, man, I'm loving the look of these fender flares. The quality is really nice. The fit's really nice, other than that small issue, but that's something that you kind of expect. It's a custom part. But these guys made it out of metal, and hand shaped and everything. Unreal. I like it. It's perfect for what I need, because the angle kit pushes out the width of the front end. I'm also trying to run a 235 square around on the car, so I can rotate and just, you know, I'm testing it out to see as far as how that goes grip. Also, BC custom drift spec long travel coilovers. That is full tuck, and it's a lot. And then with, you know, the alignment, everything, it's kind of hard to tell, but the slight toe in and still not a whole lot of camber under load. So I know that that's actually pretty good. But yeah, getting that all done and pretty happy with it. Love these fender flares. I highly recommend them. These are the hidden bolt-on style. They do make a weld-on style, which is the same fender, just welded in and body work it. Or you can get the weld-on style and actually just use like rivets or screws to screw it into the body. I didn't want to go that route. This is much more difficult to install, obviously, trying to find where to drill the holes and everything. But it's doable, and I like the outcome of it. You can also panel bond the weldable ones on, or you can try just the 3M. I'm just not sure how well it'll hold over time, especially if like a tire ended up grabbing the fender flare like under load or something, the angle might rip it off. So that's why I wanted it this way. But yeah, alright, so here is the finished product. The Ulterior Motive metal hidden bolt-on fender flares. So I got the gap gone. There's some 3M tape you can see there. That's a gap in the 3M tape. I should do a little bit better with that, but all in all, I'm happy with it. The gap is gone, and they look good in my opinion. Most people will probably hate the fact that I don't have the rears on, but it's a drift car. You have more track width in the front with the angle kit and all, which is one of the reasons why I got these, and also to fit a little bit bigger tire in the front. But yeah, I was super happy with how they turned out. In my opinion, they look pretty good from all angles. Again, they're metal, which is awesome. Killer craftsmanship from these guys. Yeah,